feel like there's all this stuff I was took for granted as a kid. Just sort of being able to walk outside, enjoy the fresh air. And those couple years that I was, you know, working in an office, I mean, it's not like I never went outside, but man, just being able to come outside when I want to. Just because I can. Can't put a price on that one.
Thank you.
These motion sensor lights are hilarious. I wasn't even gonna record about this for a little bit, but we got some news. We got some mail. Alexa, study light on. God, this place is a mess. Before I tease you with that, I'm gonna shower. What? Did I not tell you guys I was going to a costume party?
Bum, ba-da-bum.
Hi! Oh my goodness!
Sit. Sit. Take a picture. Stay.
Go save the world. Go save the world.
Billy. Did it look like you were saving the world?
Really? Kinda. Don't say you missed that.
Sit. Good boy. Good boy.
Why did you say help?
When I die, you're just gonna take a video of me.
I think part of the power of days like today is in the fact that they don't actually happen that often. What I mean is that I haven't played live too much lately. Pretty much since the WSOP, I've only played a couple of times, and been playing online. But you know, I'm excited. I'm excited to get going, and excited to be playing a tournament. It's been mostly cash lately. I'm just excited to be going to live. Man, it's so nice out. Sort of feel like a new person today. Very fashionably late though, almost an hour behind the start of the tournament. Not a totally new me. So we're trying a little bit of a new setup today. Don't ask me why. I don't really have a good reason. Change of scenery, I guess. I get a little bit bored, I guess, sort of like doing the same thing over and over again. So even a small, just like change of background, change of scenery, change of whatever, it's always nice. And I feel the same way about poker too. Like, I really love traveling for the game, even if it's not with the intention of finding, you know, the softest game or the softest lineup or higher stakes or whatever the case may be that I'm looking for. Sometimes it's just nice to go somewhere else. So here we are in my living room, and we're gonna get into some hands. So this tournament was a $570 event. It was a side event for the WPT. I did not play the WPT main the last time it was in town, but I did play this one. Maryland Live, so not traveling in this video, but some travel upcoming, and hopefully something I want to do on a more consistent basis on the channel. Not necessarily gonna like make it into a challenge or anything official, but yeah, just kind of wanted to get that out there. So Sorry, I have my watch on the wrong hand. Lastly, before we get into these hands, if you're interested in supporting this channel, the single best way to do that is by going over to Patreon, where you can get tons of great rewards in addition to supporting these videos and their production and improvement. So with that, let's get into the hands. In this first hand, blinds are at 200, 400, 400, and I'm on the starting stack of 25K. I'm pretty sure I came in late reg to this one, so I must have pretty much just sat down. The button opens to 900, and I'm in the big blind with ace king offsuit. Bump it up to 2.7K here. Pretty standard 3-bet. No one makes the call, and the flop comes down 10-9 deuce rainbow. I choose to c-bet. I don't think we need to go as big as we did pre, so I down bet to 1.8K, and he makes the call. Turn is the 9 of clubs. Second club on board, and I think this is a pretty bad card for us. Somebody who opens the button and calls a 3-bet can have a lot of pretty weak holdings, and a 9 will certainly not fold the flop. We almost never have a 9, if ever, so that's not good. We could continue repping over pairs here, but I think it's better for us to just check fold. So I check, he bets 3.5K, and I debated calling just because the price was pretty decent, but he doesn't have a ton of bluffs here besides maybe straight draws, so I do decide to stick with the plan and just fold. In this next hand, we've got 20K in the stack. Middle position opens 1500, the cutoff calls, and I flatten the big blind with queen 8 of clubs. You could kind of go either way here. A multi-way, this hand's going to be a little bit harder to play, but suited, pretty defensible. Flop comes out, decent for us. It's 8-7-4 rainbow. I go ahead and check it. Middle position, c-bets 1500. The cutoff calls. When middle position c-bets and the cutoff calls, I'm not super pumped about this spot. I mean, I don't think we can fold just now, but I'm already kind of having some alarm bells here. The board doesn't really favor a pre-flop aggressor that much, so unless he's got over pairs, he's probably not going to feel super comfortable betting. But I do decide to call and plan to check fold most turn cards. The turn, however, is pretty damn good for us. It is the queen of hearts putting the second heart out on board. Checks to the cutoff now, who bets 3.5K. And this is really concerning now, right? Because when middle position c-bets and cutoff just calls, he kind of is saying that he has like an 8, maybe a 7 and a draw, maybe some slow plays. And when the queen comes, most of his range hates that card, right? An 8 hates that card unless it's queen 8 like we have. A 7 hates that card, and most of those hands have showdown value, and we'll just check back. So when he's betting again, I'm really not excited about it. It's hard to see us being super far ahead here, but because we've improved so drastically as far as our absolute hand strength, I do end up making the call. The river is now the 6 of diamonds, and frankly, I just got very lost in the hand at this point. After the fact, my thought process is really different from what it was in-game. In-game, I was thinking like, well, if he does have some random queen that like floated the flop but then bets turn, I beat that, but it's never betting, so I could lead and get a little value. Simultaneously, he's gonna bet bigger than what I will bet if I check, most likely, and I don't really want to check fold. But I think all of that is just terrible. I mean, 9-10 comes in, even if that was, a hand in his range. There's all kinds of stuff that he can have that beats us. We're never getting him to fold unless we size gigantic, and we're trying to get him off of basically a similar 2 pair that we probably beat, what we would beat every 2 pair, or like a set or something. And I don't think that's going to be the right play. I think honestly, check folding is probably fine. In game, I decided to put out a blocker bet of 5K. He makes the call and shows us 6-5 of hearts, which makes a ton of sense. It's a hand that he would definitely slow play, and it's a big part of why I think leading is kind of a mistake here. But on to this next hand, we are now at the 300, 500, 500 level. Quite a few notches down so far as our stack, sitting on just 5.7K here. That last hand took a big chunk out of us, and we haven't really picked up any hands since. So in early position with King Jack of hearts, I just go ahead and open jam it, just about 11 big blinds here. The hijack calls off with red pocket 8, so we're off to the races here, and the flop is definitely a good one for us. It is King 10-3 with 2 clubs, so great start for us. The turn is a brick, and the river is yet another brick. So we managed to get a double here, get back in the game to a somewhat respectable stack. In the next hand, we've got 11k now, and Under the Gun, who is the same player from the previous hand, jams 4.5k. I'm in the small blind with ace-king offsuit and have a very clear reshove here. The big blind folds. So Under the Gun has 10-7 of diamonds, so we're in pretty good shape, but the board runs out. Very sweaty for us here. I'm sweating bullets. Ace 8-6 with 2 diamonds. The turn is the 9 of clubs, and we can't win the hand. So the river is an irrelevant brick. Kind of a rough one there. In pretty good shape against the good old 10-7 suited Under the Gun jam, but what can you do? That's the game. At this next hand, you know, we've folded quite a bit for a while. We've been short, haven't had a lot of opportunities. We've got 5.8k in the stack at 400, 800, 800, and are in middle position with 10-9 of spades. This is going to be a jam, so that's what I go ahead and do. The big blind sighs heavily and calls off with pocket threes. So very clear call for him. I understand it's never exciting to call off with threes, but you know, he just doesn't really have any choice. We get another pretty flavorful board here with the king, queen, jack, 2 spades. So barring some runner possibilities, it's going to be nigh on impossible for us to lose this hand. The turn, 6 of spades, goes ahead and seals the deal for us. We're going to win this pot. The river is once again an irrelevant brick, and we move on to the next hand with quite a bit more in our stack. Little breathing room. Not a lot, but a little. 12k in the stack now, and the small blind open jams 5k after getting almost stacked on the previous hand. I look down at pocket kings, and I'm way ahead of his 10-9 offsuit. So when the board comes out, ace-king 3 pretty much just seals the deal here. Turn is the 6 of clubs, which does seal the deal. River 4 diamonds, doesn't matter. This is just the vlog of all-ins and irrelevant bricks, I suppose. At this next hand, we've got 500, 1k blinds, 14k in the stack. The hijack, who is a competent player, but who plays quite a few hands, opens it up to 2.5k. I am on the button with ace-6 offsuit, and normally this would just be a snap fold, but I think the hijack is going to be so wide here, and we are so short that the value of the chips out in the middle is pretty high. This probably still could be argued as a fold. This is a pretty huge exploit, but the blinds are players who aren't going to really tangle that often without a pretty strong hand, so I do go ahead and just jam. Folds around to the original opener, and he calls off with king-jack offsuit, so we're actually getting called and ahead here with the ace-6, so pretty lucky there. And we stay pretty lucky here with the board run out. It comes out 10, 5, 4, 3, 8. So no pair is going to win this. Ace high beats king high every day as far as I know. And we get to move on to the next hand with probably our first shot at like a reasonable stack since whittling down in the first place. So 30k now, same blind level. A straightforward player under the gun makes it 3k. Middle position and the cutoff call, and I'm in the big blind with king 9. In game, I don't know what I was thinking here, but I think I should definitely just be folding. We're at the same blind level. It's 2 more big blinds to risk, and even though, you know, we're probably not going to make a lot of big mistakes with this hand, we just don't connect with the board that frequently. We will also get some reverse implied odds here when we flop a pair and it's no good. So I put in the call, but after the fact, I really don't like it. The flop comes out king 10 7 rainbow, so we get one of those boards where we're potentially going to put some chips in. I check under the gun, c bets 5k, folds to me, and I think we still pretty much have to call. Even though it's a multi-way pot, I think that this player is going to c bet most of his hands. He's got some gutters, he's got probably some open-ended here. But I'm not loving it, right? If I face more bets, I'm probably just hightailing it out of here. The turn is now the jack of hearts, and I check. I hate this card pretty much because ace queen comes in, ace jack picks up equity, queen jack picks up more equity. It's just kind of a bad news card all around. I do technically pick up a gutter, but even if I were to hit it, I don't really know where I'm at. So when he bets 5k, even though the size is so small, I just feel like there's absolutely no way we can continue here. I do go ahead and make the fold. and he shows us ace queen of spades. So, you know, it's sort of debatable every single action in the hand, I would say. Pretty interesting spot. I think pre-flop is the most egregious error. Flop is like not a fun spot, but we probably have to call. And, you know, the turn is just sort of is what it is. On this next hand, we've got 35K. Not exactly sure how I've chipped up here. Probably just winning some small pots here and there. 600, 1200, 1200 blinds, and the button raises to 3K. I'm in the small blind with ace-7 of hearts, and I choose to call. Flop comes out. Pretty good for us. It's ace-king 3 with 2 hearts. So, yes, it is specifically the ace of clubs, the king of hearts, and the 3 of hearts, in case any of you were wondering about that. That's what they are. I decide to check. My opponent bets 4K, and I think that a lot of players will check raise here because their hand is sort of like so strong, so to speak. But I think that calling makes sense because we have showdown value and we don't really want him to fold like lots of worse hands. And if we check raise, it's hard for him to continue with worse hands. And he'll continue with pretty much all better hands. So I just make the call, and then turn comes the jack of diamonds. I check once again, and he bets 6.5K. Normally wouldn't be a super fun spot to get barreled on here, and I would consider check raising, but because the sizing is pretty small for the turn, I just decided to call once again. I think we definitely have enough showdown value still. The river is the deuce of clubs. Check. He checks it behind, and my hand ends up being good. So probably he was just bluffing. Maybe he was betting a hand like king queen for some thin value, but nice to take that one down and once again kind of get to chip up to a somewhat more respectable stack. 700, 1400, 1400 blinds. This is a staple level at Maryland Live that doesn't seem to exist anywhere else that I'm aware of. It's always kind of fun for me. I enjoy that it exists. It's a weird denomination though, so it's always sort of confusing. But anyway, we're here playing this level. 55K in the stack. Early position makes it 3.2K. I'm in middle position with pocket nines, and I make the call. The big blind calls as well, leaving himself just 7.2K behind. The flop comes out 7-7-4 with 2 clubs. Checks all the way to me, and because of the stack sizes in play, it's a little bit awkward, but nines are pretty vulnerable to overcards on the turn, so we definitely want to be betting here. I choose to bet 3.5K, mostly to make sure that if the if the big blind were to jam and early position were to call, he's threatened by me basically being able to come back over the top. So I don't really want early position to call here. I bet the 3.5K, the big blind does jam, early position ends up folding, and I call off. Big blind has pocket threes, so we're in fantastic shape here. Only got to fade 2 outs. And the turn jack of diamonds doesn't bring one. River, 6 of spades, does not bring one either. So we managed to stack another player here and chip up a bit. 75K in the stack now, and a guy who's brand new to the table open jams in the cutoff with 16.2K. I am in the big blind with pocket fours, and even though it's not fun being in these spots, it's just way too strong of a hand against most ranges here. Very easy call off, and unfortunately he shows us a hand where we're really not in such great shape. He's got pocket kings, and it's just a full entire board of bricks. 0 chance of winning the pot at any moment. Not literally 0, please, you know what I mean. But yeah, we're gonna ship that one over. Unfortunately, our nice pretty stack takes a small dent to it, and we can't sell it back for a new one. Blinds now at 1K, 2K, 2K, 70K in the stack, and the hijack. I open in the hijack with pocket deuces to 4.5K. The cutoff, the small blind, the big blind, all call, and the flop comes out ace, 9, deuce. So it's rainbow, and when it checks to me, we have a very clear c-bet. This is pure value, but I think we can go very small. We don't really need to protect against almost anything, and most of the hands in our range that want to get value don't need to protect against much either. My bluffs would also like to get a cheap size through here, so when I bet, I want to go small. I make it 5.5K, and the big blind is the only caller. The turn is the jack of diamonds. He checks, and now I want to start sizing it up a little bit so that we can make sure we get some more value on later streets. I bet 13K, and he goes ahead and makes the call. The river is the 7 of spades, so we technically don't have the nuts anymore, but I mean, it's almost impossible for him to really have us beat here. He has to hold on with pocket sevens, or he has to hold on with like 10-8 with a backdoor flush draw or something. It'd be pretty unreasonable for that to happen. So when he checks, he's got about 48K. I decide to bet 27.5K. I kind of wanted to make sure he had some left behind that he felt comfortable with, rather than kind of forcing him to a decision for roughly his whole stack. He does tank for a while, but ultimately calls, and we get to take this one down, leave him just with that paltry 20K, and add another nice chunk to our stack. At this next hand, we've now got 135K. Middle position limps in. She seems like she might limp a strong range though, so when I'm in the hijack with Jack 10 of spades, I choose to just overlimp. The button raises to 7.5K and everybody else folds, and I'm in a pretty weird spot now. I think we could definitely fold here, but I felt a little bit roped in. I felt like I had a little bit too much equity against a likely range here, so I decided to make the call. Flop comes out 8-7-5 with 1 spade, so we flop a gutter and a backdoor flush draw. It's also a board that's going to favor my range much more than a preflop raisers, so I have larcenous thoughts right away. I check, he bets 12.5K, which set off small alarm bells maybe. I think that this sizing kind of indicates that he's a little more likely to have it than not, but I decided to kind of stick with the rough plan and put in a small check raise. If we get jammed on and it doesn't work out, we're not risking a ton. And if we just get the fold, that's great. If he calls, we still have opportunities to pick up equity here. So I go ahead and make it 27.5K. The other thing here is that if he does call and the turn is some very connecting card that doesn't improve my hand, I can still jam and potentially get more fold equity on later streets. So I make it the 27.5K, and he unfortunately jams for his about 75K total. So I have a pretty clear fold now, and get to sort of sheepishly wander back, into my little hole. He just beat me down. But on to this next hand. It's worth noting that there are about 38 players left, and 25 will make the money and day 2. So they're making day 2 and the money at the same time here. 1.5K, 2.5K, 2.5K blinds. I've got 125K in the stack now. I'm under the gun with good old pocket aces. Open it up to 5K, and middle position with 33K jams. Great news for us. Folds around me, and I call. Very clear call. It's not much strategy going on there. He's got Queen Jack of diamonds, so definitely some ways he can win this hand, but we're in very good shape. The flop brings out some possibilities for him. It's King Jack 7, no diamonds, but he does have that 1 pair and a backdoor straight draw to go with it. The turn 9 of diamonds keeps the straight draw possibility alive. The river is the Queen of hearts, and we ship over a decent sized portion of our stack to him. A little later on, we're at the 2K, 3K, 3K level. Now with 65K in our stack, we've lost a few just small pots here and there. The cutoff, who's a tight player, opens to 6.5K, and I'm in the big blind with ace queen. Normally, this would be a pretty clear 3-bet or maybe just a jam, but because he was tight, I didn't really think I would necessarily get a lot of action from worse by doing that, so I decided to just call. The flop came out ace 9-5, and he c-bet just 4K. Because of his size, I thought about all my options here. I thought about basically making an absurdly sized jam. I thought about check raising small. I thought about just calling and trying to call down and lead turns, like stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I just felt like I wanted to get the money in against his range. Like, even though he's tight, he is in the cutoff, and I don't think he's going to fold an ace ever. So I just decided to check raise to 16K. In retrospect, I think the board is so dry, I'd rather let him maybe keep some bluffs in by just check calling and get my value on a later street. But in this instance, I made it 16K. He makes the call, and we go heads up to a turn, which is the king of spades. Now, in the moment, I was super happy about this card because I felt that, like, if he has ace king, he's going to play his hand this way. this actually decreases the likelihood that he holds that hand. It, decreases it by a pretty decent amount. And so I'm feeling pretty confident now about having the best hand most of the time, when I was, a little bit less sure about it before that card. So stick with the plan, try to get value, and I go ahead and jam. Unfortunately, he snaps with ace king because, of course, that's what he has. We get it in, drawing literally dead, and the river, I have no idea what it is. We don't win the hand. It's irrelevant. Again, this is the vlog of jamming it all in and seeing irrelevant rivers. That is going to do it for this video. We unfortunately busted out here. Did not rebuy, made it, a little bit past the re-entry period here. And kind of a rough one. That one with aces was a little tough. I think if I don't lose that hand, I probably play the ace-queen hand pretty differently just because the stack depths are so much different. I can't just like check raise flop jam turn. But, it is what it is. That's kind of poker tournaments for you in a nutshell. Remember, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Leave me a comment down below letting me know, which hand you thought I just completely misplayed, because I know you're going to do that anyway. I don't even need to ask. But share this video with a friend if you want to grow this community. And remember, there is now Discord. I don't think I actually announced this technically. We now have Discord. It's public to everyone. There will be specific channels that are sort of like walled off for patrons specifically who support me on Patreon. But besides that, there is a public Discord. Get in there for some cool community stuff. The fun doesn't have to stop when the video ends. You can go over there, chat, hang out, talk about hands, talk about what's going on in the poker world. And I would love to see that grow because I really love interacting with you guys. And frankly, YouTube comments just don't cut it as far as community goes. I think that the comment section is great for a lot of things. Community is not really one of them. So I think having a Discord is a cool idea. I've seen other channels utilize this very effectively. I'm hoping we can do the same, and I hope to see you over on Discord. But until next time, I'll see you there. Bye. Till then, though, be at the. What did I just do? Like, what just happened there?